Hello punters and welcome back to another Saturday racing preview. Of course, in this video looking at the Saturday meeting tomorrow at Flemington, the Andrew Ramsden, obviously the race where if you win, you're into the Melbourne Cup. So really looking forward to that tomorrow, seeing who can join the likes of Steel Prince last year, of course, winning the event, and Surprise Baby finishing in for second. So we do often see a lot of horses come through this race, not just the winner, but a couple others that, maybe finish in the minors that end up going through the Melbourne Cup representing Australia. So really looking forward to that race there. But looking at the meeting tomorrow, it's a 9 race card. It's starting 11:45, so nice early start tomorrow. Make sure you're ready to go. At the moment, the track's a soft 5. There's not a whole lot of rain about here in Victoria at the moment, so it could dry out to a good 4. So I'm done the form based off that little, sort of soft, between the soft and the good track. So kept that in mind. But looking at race number 1, and as I mentioned, it kicks off at 11:45. 1200 metre fillies and mares benchmark 84 race. Look at it's called the Vale Derby, McCarthy Oam. And look at the speed map here. Nice races to kick off the program. We've got the 10 runners in the field. Looking at the speed map for the race, I'd say there'll be Oso Hazy will probably fire out the gates for the inside Baron, find the top. Queen Annabelle and Get On will probably be towards the speed as well. A bit of an interest into what Lulwa will do for coming up first with its first Australian race start for Danny O'Brien. And I've taken a bit of interest in this horse because I think that $5.50 and $2 is a good price about this horse. Who looks to be a bit of a talent. So if you look back at its racing in Great Britain, it was sort of around that sort of fillies and mares 90, 95 grade. So now finds itself in an 84, which I don't, no disrespect the opposition, but it's not the strongest 84 going around. So I think this is a horse that if it can show up first up and perform well, it could be winning a race like this. 1200, definitely short of its peak distance. It probably be getting out to around the mile, which is where it looks to be have done its best racing in the UK. But I still think that it might be sharp enough to run a good race first up here. It's got good first up stats, 2 starts for a win and a placing. Has had the win on a soft surface and obviously has had a win on a good surface as well. So it's got form on both surfaces, which is what you really want to see with this meeting, with that bit of uncertainty whether we'll get a good or soft track. I'd say we might be able to get a good track by tomorrow, but there's sort of scattered showers around here in Victoria at the moment, so a little bit hard to tell. But I think I'm willing to go with Lulwa. I think it could be the one to beat ahead of number 2 Gododin for James Cummings and Brabble Wheeler in the saddle. It finished a nice third last start behind More Than Exceed. That was on a heavy track at the Sandown Lakeside track, and just boxed on okay. Did as much as it probably could have done in that race. Obviously, he could make a lot of ground on that occasion, so perhaps I would have thought that maybe it would have been the finish, and that was the case. Prior to that was a disappointing 11th behind Shamino at Morphettville, but before that it beat Lita, who's quite a smart sprinter who we've seen going around the last few weeks, and even so went round at Caulfield the other week. So Gododin's got a good chance in for second. In for third, number 4, Lankan Stars, thinks a bit over the odds. Was a good win last time out, being Paul's Regret. Paul's Regret since come out run well. I've got it as one of my runners to follow from last week's meeting at Caulfield, where it finished 4th in a good race there. And don't think the Lankan Stars, I think it's a bit over the odds. I thought return to form has always shown a bit of form, as we saw through its 2-year-old campaign, and then put together a few decent performances in its 3-year-old campaign. Finished a 4th by and way up in the sky, only 1.3 lengths off of her, and then 4 lengths off Loving Gabby, 5.4 lengths off California Zimbols. There's some proper Group 1, Group 2 horses. So I think that the form is good enough for Lankan Star to run a good race here, and I think there was a good win last time. That should take plenty of benefit out of it and run much better this time around. Also Hazy will be up on the pace, so I think it can run well with the return from the spell from barrier number 1. If we get that wet track, this horse will come right into it. It doesn't mind a wet track, so if we get that bit of rain tomorrow, you could probably take that on a bit more confidence. But look, Miss O'Malley's one that I left out. Obviously has decent enough form. That form from 2 starts back behind High Par has turned out to be pretty good form. And 3 starts ago, it finished behind Riddle Me That, who of course came out won the Bendigo Guinea. So very good form lines around Mrs. O'Malley, but just hasn't been winning out of turn. And that's my only issue. I can't take. You could probably take $1.85 to place, but I wouldn't be taking $4.80 to win, because it's a horse that just hasn't won in a while now. And while it is down the weights, I think there's a couple ahead of her. But look, I'm keen on Lulwa. I'm interested to see how this horse will perform first up, and I think it's a decent enough price to find out how good it might be. And in a field like this, it could, if it's up to the sort of raps that's been given, it could win this race quite easily. In for second, number 2, Gododin. In for third, number 4, Lankan Star. And in for fourth, number 6, Oh So Hazy. Moving on to race number 2 on the card now. It's a 1,000-metre next generation sprint. For the 2-year-olds. And look at the speed map here. Looks an interesting race because there is a few debutants here. I'd say that of the noted speed that we know, Nantucket likes to get out and get forward. Miss Bossetti, Ultimate Man, Chrome Angels will be looking to get close to the speed, I would suggest. I'd say I reckon Sandhill might boot forward and be up towards the pace as well. So interesting little speed battle here, and it's interesting to see what some of these first starters do in their first race starts and how good they could be. I think this could be a good form race. Look, I'm pretty keen to land with number 3, Better Kick here for Steve Richards. I think this horse got a very nice chance. Damien Oliver in the saddle, being out of the Damn Better Than Blushing and the side by Scissor Kick. So really interesting breeding lines. Scissor Kick, interesting side to be producing. So I'll be very keen to see how this horse goes. And it's been pretty well supported in the market as well, which is always a good sign in these 2-year-old races. Sometimes that's the way you've got to look at it. Obviously, jump outs leading were quite sharp from Better Kick, so I was very impressed with those. Looks to be ready to go, wound up, and I think it could run a good race at the $3.50. And so I'm going to have it on top. At number 11, Pentagilli, who is obviously our Hollywood Mistress and side by Star Witness, bred to run a good race here. And it was drawn a really nice barrier as well. I think with all that speed on the outside of it, it could really follow it up and lob itself into a good position, probably a couple of pairs back on the outside. And if that's the case, this horse could run a nice race for the Hawks team, who are in some decent form at the moment. They're finding a few winners here and there. So I think this horse could run well. Chrome Angel's probably been a bit forgotten about here of the racing brigade. It was a good win last start, and Warrnambool being Pocket Goddess, so I've got a good opinion of. So I think that's going to be a decent enough form race, and could be too sharp from here with that race experience. I think $8.50 and $2.60 is a great price. So if you're keen to go with Chrome Angel, I'll definitely be suggesting having something on. And number 8, Divine Capri, who didn't really handle the heavy track last time out, it seemed. Prior to that, it was a very, very impressive win coming from last to first at Bendigo. If it can return to that type of form, it can win a race like this very easily. So I'm going to have number 3, the debutant, Better Kick on top, ahead of number 11, Pentagilli, ahead of number 7, Chrome Angel, in for third, and then for fourth, number 8, Divine Capri. Moving on to race number 3 on the program now. It's the GH Mum Mile and 3-year-old. For the 3-year-old fillies, benchmark 78 over the 1,600 metres. Look at the speed map for this race here, and there looks to be a lot of pace. So I'd say Sensation, Top Pinsel, Spear Out of the Barriers, Merited usually gets forward. The 1, November Dreaming, interested to see what it'll do coming back from Morphettville. Obviously, it's settled back a little bit back on that occasion. I'm not sure they'll fire out and get towards the top with all the pace in the race, but Liberate, I think, will also push forward. Flanders Rain can get up there. I think it might drop back from that draw, though, with all that speed on the inside of it. So very, very hotly contested race here, and quite a bit of speed in it. And look, I have landed with Flanders Rain here. I thought its run last time out, and I mentioned as one of my runners to follow from a couple of weeks ago at Flemington, where it finished 5th to Betcha Flying. It really did come home nicely there and hit the line very strongly. I was impressed with that performance over the 700, back to the 1,600, which is an interesting decision. But for Macamay, I thought that horse might have wanted a bit further, but maybe it's not sharp enough to come out and run a good race over the mile. This is a horse that 3 starts back, finished third in a Group 3 behind Paradise. So definitely is up to running a good race, and $8.50 is a really nice price. And the way it hit the line last time out, I think it could run a good race here. So I've got it on top ahead of number 6, November Dreaming, who was disappointing last start in the Queen of the South Stakes at Morphettville. Finished 7th on that occasion after jumping as the favourite. Just never really let down, got into the race. It's a bit disappointing, but as we know, obviously, I mentioned on that time it didn't merit to be the favourite. Ended up being the case. Prior to that, jumped to $1.90 at Pakenham and bolted in. So returns to that type of form, albeit it was in a Class 1. It could run well enough here. Craig Williams jumps back in the saddle, which is always a positive. So I think this horse could run a much better race. And if we get that wet track, I don't think it'll bother this horse too much. So it probably prefers wet track. So interesting November Dreaming, how it can run here, coming back to, I guess, a bit of a weaker grade than what it faced last time out if it can return to form. Got it in for second. In for third, number 4, Merited. Always had a bit of time with this horse, and I thought just first up, striking a heavy track was always going to be a bit of a query, and didn't seem to get through it too well. Finished 5th on that occasion. I think coming back on top of the ground, if we do get it tomorrow, it could run a much better race at the $15. $4.20 the place is ridiculous. Really think you could back it each way if there's if it's a good track tomorrow. You could take it with a bit of confidence tomorrow. And look, a horse that a horse that's been real tough for some for punters to follow has been number 9, Don't Tell the Boss, who's really promised and racing some really good races in real good company. And just the last couple of starts been a bit poor, but last start was on a heavy track, so I'll forgive that. Prior to that, it was racing in decent company, finished third, 3 starts back to Oasis Girl, who obviously came out and bolted in at Caulfield last week and is running a good race in Morphettville this weekend, tomorrow. So if you can return that type of form, it could run well enough here and finish 4th behind Florent the start prior. So it does meet Florent here again, but I think that Don't Tell the Boss could turn the tables. Considering there's all that pace in the race, it'll set up nicely for it to really come into it. So look, I'm going to have number 2, Flanders Run on top. Very open race, this one. In for second, number 6, November Dreaming. In for third, number 4, Merited. And in for fourth, number 9, Don't Tell the Boss. Now, I have left out Top Pins, who could be a good each-way option. This is a horse that was finished a nice third in a similar race to some of these last start. Prior to that, it beat Splendour on the grass at Pakenham, who has since come out and won one at Sandown on Wednesday. So good form lines are really good around Top Pins and doesn't run a bad race too often. It's had 6 race starts for 3 wins and 2 placings and gets through most conditions. So you could take it on a good each-way basis. I think Charlize, if it returns to her best form, she could be winning a race like this very easily as well. V1 has been a real consistent galloper, has cost punters a few times, but got the job done at $1.30 last time out. So again, a horse that could improve off of that. And Sensation was a nice third last time out behind Let's Get Tramped and finished 4th in that Oasis Girl race that I mentioned that I tied up with the form lines that Don't Tell the Boss. So real interesting race. And look, a lot of these coming through similar form lines. Some are bringing in different form lines. Very open race, and that's why I've gone a bit of value with Flanders Rain on top. Move on to race number 4, and it's the Kennedy Mile over 1,600 metres benchmark 78 race. Look at the speed map for this for race number 4. I'd say Solorsi Diplomatic Measure will be up on the speed. Tabby Run usually fires out the barriers and gets towards the top. Black Sail will probably be up there towards the speed as well. I'd say Reserve Street might settle in behind some of the leaders. Look, real good race here and quite an open race as well. Very tough to split some of these now. Orleans Rock's interesting runner, like I mentioned, is nommed for the first race at Morphettville as well. They've still got it nom for both at the moment, so I think they're still sitting back and waiting on the weather conditions here in Victoria to see which way they go, and also in South Australia. Look, I do think it's a better chance in this race. Well, look, I mean, there's a smaller field at Morphettville, and they might look at that and think it's a better chance there. But looking at this type of race, I think that it could easy win this. Look, I have gone with one ahead of it though. Number 7, Duke of Plumpton, is the one I've got on top. I think that was a very good run last time out. It was one of not many horses on the day that made ground from the back. It wasn't at the back, it was sitting towards midfield of the race at Sandown at the Lakeside track, but really made some very good ground late and finished second a Shot of Irish, who's since come out and bolted in last week at Caulfield. So the form was really good there behind Duke of Plumpton, and I think it could win this race. And $4.80 and $1.90 the place is a real nice price to find out as well. So I've got it on top. Ahead of number 13, Orleans Rock. Like I said, if it does run at Flemington tomorrow, it could run a good race here, and I think it's well up to winning a race like this. Obviously, probably wants a little bit of sting out of the track, so I'd be interested to see if that eventuates and where they go tomorrow. But Orleans Rock will be in. I think it's got a good chance in both races tomorrow, but one at Morphettville and also in this one. I think it's a top 3 chance in both. So interesting decision for Paul Prisca's team to make on where it'll go. So I've got it in for second. In for third, number 4, Reserve Street. I think it's well over the odds here, $34. Finished 4th to Rupture last time out. He's absolutely flying at the moment. And then prior to that, it finished 3rd to Big Night Out, and I thought that was a decent form race as well at Bendigo. So it's come out of 2 good form races, and is in decent form. I can't really understand why it's $34, and it looks to get a real good cut into the race from here. Look, with the speed on the inside of it, it should be able to tuck in behind and be up towards the pace with a bit of cover. And I think this horse will get a great run in the race, and it definitely is a top 3 chance. So I think $34 is way over the odds, and I could definitely entertain people out there having a go at it. So I've got it in for third. And then in for fourth, number 8, Main Stage, who doesn't often win, but has been getting close the last 2 starts. It finished second at Orleans Rock and second at Luca Bell the last 2 starts. And obviously, like I said, if Orleans Rock's going to be the favourite, this horse really shouldn't be $19. Definitely $5 the place looks an entertaining way to play the race. like I said, doesn't really win. So as a winning option, not too sure, but it could definitely place in a race like this, especially when it's got that form behind uh, Orleans Rock. Now, I haven't put Sikorsky in the numbers because its second last time behind John Ozaki was good, but it hasn't. It's taken a bit of while of time to come back here. It's had a 4-week fresh and that's not because they've chosen to. It has been scratched from a couple of meetings over the last couple of weeks. So I'm just wondering how it's going. That for me is a little bit of a concern. So and also if it does get into that wet track, I'm just not 100% confident on how this horse will perform on it. It's definitely much better on top of the ground. So, like I said, at this stage, I think 420 is a little bit of unders about Sikorsky. But recap the numbers for me. I'm pretty keen with number 7, Duke of Ponton on top. I think it's got a very good chance to win the race. Ahead of number 13, Orleans Rock. In for second, in for third, number 4, Reserve Street. And in for fourth, number 8, Main Stage. Moving on to race number 5 now on the card, and it is the Furphy Dash 1,000-metre open race right up the straight. Look at the speed map here. I'd say that Eduardo, Sam's Image, will be up towards the speed. From Within will be up there contesting. King of Hastings usually likes to get forward. Milwaukee all over Boston Over. I'd say Malibu Style will sit in behind them. So quite a bit of pace on in the race, and it will be interesting to see if some of these back markers can come into the race. But look, I'm interested to see what they'll do with Wagner here, and I think it's a great each-way value first up here. It's got great fresh stats, so 4 starts for 3 wins and a placing first up. So a horse that's got those kind of stats for, to be coming into this first up at 17 to 1. I think it's a very nice price. Has had a stable changes now with Joseph Waldron, formerly with James Cummings and Godolphin. But look, for me, I think that this horse could definitely run a race first up here, and I think it's just well over the odds at 17 to 1. So I've got it on top ahead of number 9, King of Hastings, who we know is a very good galloper and is a good horse to backing each way. So I'd be looking to go heavily on that $1.75 to place ahead of the $4 to win. I think it can definitely run a race. You look at last preparation, finished second to Super Seth first up, obviously a Group 1 winner, and second to Bacali, then fifth to Hawker Hurricane, and has formed around Alligator Blood, went to Gold Coast and finished fifth in the 3-year-old Magic Millions. So this is a very good horse and can perform first up here, and I think it's got a good chance. I just think it might be a bit better as a second or third placing chance, and as such, I think the place might be a better way to play it. So I've got it in for second. In for third, number 2, Eduardo, who if it bounces back to his old form, he could be winning a race like this very easily. He just has not been able to find the heights that he showed, I guess, a couple of preps ago when he finished third in an Oakley Plate. He jumped as the favourite on that occasion. He finished 16th behind Sunlight in the Newmarket, and then he finished third to Miss Leonidas. Look, it's an interesting one. Sorry, that wasn't the Newmarket. Then, yeah, if you have a look, it finished third last preparation, first up behind Fartner. So, look, it's got a decent enough chance. Went to a Moya, finished 7th behind Nature Strips. Been around the right form line, especially in a race like this. He could be winning this very easily. $8.50 is a nice price. He hasn't quite been the same horse since he was 3 preps ago. So, just wondering on how he is travelling. So, I've got him in for third. And then in for fourth, number 8, Causeway Girl, who I think will really be well suited to all this pace in the race. Might be able to come into it nicely. Probably is looking for maybe more 1,100 metres. Looking at last preparation, it resumed, finished third to Can't Forget You. So will need to improve a little bit off that. But it is a good fresh horse. Has had 4 starts first up for 2 wins and a placing. Has had a win on a soft surface before, so no concerns if it does get that. And look, another horse that I didn't mention in there is number 4, Prezado. Like I said, it was a really good win last time out beating the Inevitable. I think that's a decent enough form race to be bringing this. The Inevitable's got it as well on the market in the Goodwood, so has a chance. And Milwaukee as well, obviously loves the track. Finished 4th last time out behind Prezado. So, and like I said, if we can get that sort of wet track surface, he comes right into the play. So, look, really interesting 1,000-metre race. I just think that Wagner with that fresh form is a bit over the odds, and that's why I've got it on top of the 17. So I've got it on top ahead of number 9, King of Hastings, in for second. In for third, number 2, Eduardo, and in for fourth, number 8, Causeway Girl. Moving on to race number 6 on the program now, and it's the Andrew Ramsden over the 2,800 metres weight for age race. Looking at the speed map for this one, really good forward to it. To Close the Sun, the Warrnambool Cup winner, will be up on speed as he always is. Runaway will be up there contesting. Say Suppress will be not far behind. Ocean X will probably take a sit behind him, and Norway will probably sit a couple of pairs back with a bit of cover, I would suggest, or might even drop in behind some of them. So interesting little speed battle early with some of the speed horses on the inside barriers. Runaway is going to spear across on the outside. So interesting to see where they land in the running. Look, really good race, and it's. I found it tough to split some of these, but look, I'm pretty keen number 12 Ocean X because I thought that its run last time out at Moorfield, of course, winning the Port Adelaide Cup there over the 2,500 metres was really impressive, and the way it got through the line suggests that it'll get up to the 2,800 metres without much concern. It's a horse that's raced here at Flemington twice. It's had 2 wins from 2 race starts. If we get that wet track, probably plays more into its favour. So 4 starts for a win and 2 placings on a soft track. Obviously, he's good on top of the surface as well. So this is a horse that you have a look back through it was probably building up to a win last time out, and I went suppressor ahead of her last time out, and I really regretted it because looking back at through her form, she definitely had the lead up into a race like that. She finished 5th behind Life First Order in a Group 3, 7th behind Positive Pieces Flying, and finished 14th in a Group 1, just never came on behind Contempatiro on a heavy track that day, so you could probably suggest that maybe didn't get through the running on that day. But this horse has always been around good form, and I think it could be winning this race here right at the bottom of the weights at 56. Mark Zara in the saddle. Look, get a perfect run into the race on barrier number 1. So I think $6 and $2 a place is a good enough price to take here. So I'm going to have it on top. Ahead of number 7, 2 Close the Sun, who's done everything right so far. Was a real strong, dominant Warrnambool Cup win. Prior to that was a good Terrain Cup win. It's really in good form and gets through all conditions. It's a horse that has had 13 race starts, has won 7 times and placed 5 times. It's only ever missed a placing once from 13 starts. So you can take it each way with a lot of confidence. You can sort of play bigger on the place and the win, and you could be getting a good return. I think 2 Close Sun will be right in the finish once again. You could definitely have as an each way option. Number 2, King of Leader Grants is in for 3rd for me. Comes in this first up, which is interesting because this is a horse that has come in first up over 1,600 2 preps back, and last prep came out in over the 1,800. So coming in straight away into 2,800 metres, bit of a concern for me, but is a top quality galloper and gets through a lot of conditions. Damien Oliver in the saddle obviously won at the race last year. So and being at a side by Camelot, obviously is bred to get the distance and always shown that. Finished obviously won the Adelaide Cup over 3,200 metres before it was spelled. That of course was back in March, and so it will get the distance without worry. Just worried about that being first up. I'm a little bit of concern there, so I've got it for 3rd. And if for 4th, number 6 Norway is an interesting one for me. I think it's been really building up towards this type of race. Chris Waller has been taking his time with him. This is a horse where you look back through its form in Great Britain. It was really strong form lines. You're looking at a 3rd in a Group 1 behind Sovereign, 3rd behind Logican. So really top line form for a 3-year-old over there. Then he came over here, ran first up and finished behind Adabe in the Queen Elizabeth, and then it's went to finish 8th behind Life First Order. But its last start performance was excellent behind Rising Red, albeit on that occasion did favour to be on the pace, but I was far more impressed with that performance. Now, this is a horse who will prefer it on top of the ground. Hopefully, if we can get that good track, this horse could come into it. Dwayne Dunn, the saddle, Chris Waller knows how to get him set up for a race like this. And I think it probably has been its target race all along for this horse, so it could run a good race. The other horse I want to make a mention of is number 9, Dark Alley. Paul Prushka looking to do a similar thing with this horse and similar profile to Surprise Baby from last year. So interested to see how he'll run it. Finished 4th in the Adelaide Cup and then went and won easily at Geelong, beating the Big Sur. That was an impressive performance. It was never going to lose that day, so that was nice. But look, really interesting race. This one, the Andrew Ramsden this year. It was very tough to split some of these, but look, I'm keen on number 12 Ocean X. Really liked its last start performance, the way it got through the line. I was quite impressed with the way it did its work there. So I've got it on top ahead of number 7, 2 Close the Sun. It looks an each way moral. In for 3rd, number 2, King of League Grants, and in for 4th, number 6, Norway. Moving on to race number 7 on the program now. It's a 2,000 metre open Lexus Trophy. Looking at the speed map for this race here, I'd say Mascalino will find the top with Rupture. Kentucky Breeze and Valak will be the other horses close enough to the pace. Really interesting race here. We've got a horse that's very promising called Chabot coming back to the racetrack, and I think it can win first up here over the 2,000 metres. I know that Robbie Hickmont's got further plans in place, but I think there's a horse that could win It's had a bit of time off the scene, 440 days, so that's a bit of a concern. Maybe probably a bit more of a place chance. It is paying $2 a place, so I probably would go a bit stronger on the place than the win. But I definitely think this horse has got the ability and the talent, as we saw before its long spell. It's had a few issues, but I hope it'll be ready to go first up here and could run a good race. So I've got it on top ahead of number 4, Rapture, who I just think is just short enough. This is a very strong I guess, distance race here. And while it was a good win last time out beating Hangman, Hangman since come out and run relatively well. This is a horse that doesn't handle a soft track. So if we get that soft track, I would not be confident on its chances at all. So I'll be waiting to see what the conditions are like with this horse, and I think it'll be drifting on the day. I think it could potentially get out towards the $3 marks. There's a few others in this that look a nice chance. So I've got in for second. In for third, number 15, Dudesard, who I think can improve of its last part performance, was really well backed. It jumped as the favourite last time out in that Rupture race. So you got to ask it. The mark support was there last time out. Just was a bit plain disappointing. I remember Wayne Hawkes was saying that he wasn't happy with the way the horse was before, I guess, behaving on the day. So hopefully it can rock up and be in a better frame of mind this time around and run a better race. I think $10 this time around is a nice price to be taking about a horse who we know has got talent. Just needs to put it together on race day. And if a fourth, number 5, Super Titus, has been running some great races this preparation. It's had a 4th and 2/3. Its last start third behind Rupture was very nice. It got through the line nicely. Obviously, the horse that is looking for this type of distance range, the 2000, ran in some group quality races last preparation over this type of distance range. So you suggest it can run well enough here. So recapping the numbers, I'm pretty keen on number 11, Chabot. I think it's got obviously a lot of talent, as we know. But like I said, I'd be going a bit heavier on the place than the win, personally, if you want to play it from an each way, from a betting perspective. And if a second, number 4, Rupture, like I said, just think it's well over the odds. Definitely has a winning chance, and but I couldn't entertain backing at the $2.15. If a third, number 15, to Dudesart, and if a fourth, number 5, Super Titus. Moving on to race number 8 on the program. Now, second last race of the meeting. It's the Sepelt Wines Handicap 1400 metre open race. Look at the speed map for this one here. Looks to be quite a lot of pace. So it's Saccone, Manolo Blahnik, Iconoclasm, Serious Suspect. Heptagon usually likes to be up towards the speed. The Master Speed, More Than Exceed, Akanar Star, Music Bay are all sort of speed horses. I'd say Music Bay might not contest that speed battle, considering it's towards the outside of some of those speed horses. But yeah, look, a lot of pace on in this race here. And for me, I think it'll set up real nicely for a horse that I think's paying great odds. And it's number 14, Vacillator, who's paying 23 to 1 at the moment. It finished 9th last time out behind Buffalo River on a heavy track. I'm willing to forgive that. It was his first crack on a heavy track, so you can maybe put a line through that. Prior to that, finished second behind Order Command. Order Command since come out and won a Wangoon at Warrnambool. Been in terrific form, and it's going around in, of course, the Goodwood, and is relatively well supported there. So you've got to say that that's the form, and Vacillator has the form behind Order of Command, and I think coming into this third up, it could run a real improved race. It doesn't win out of turn, doesn't place out of turn usually, but if it can return to that type of form where it finished that second behind Order of Command, it could be running a good race here. Craig Williams in the saddle, a lot of pace on. Comes back to Flemington, a track that it does enjoy. It's had its only 2 wins of its race career here at Flemington, so if it's going to do it at any track, this will be the one. So I'm pretty keen to play Vacillator. I think it's got a very good chance to win this race at the $23, so it's my on top selection. Ahead of number 1, Akanar Star, who I think is just well under the odds here, but did run a good race last time out, albeit that on that day behind Buffalo River, it did favour to be on the pace, so you got to remember that. But I think it's a horse that could still be towards the finish, so I've got to have it in my top 3. So got it in for second. In for third, number 7, Plenciel, who could be well up to winning a race like this. Hasn't got the best fresh form though. 6 starts, first up for a win and 3 placings, but I think it could run well enough. It finished 4th, first up last prep behind Pushing Shapes at Caulfield over 700 metres. Comes into this as a 1400 metre race, so far shorter, but Blinker's come off the first time, so I'm interested to see how it can run first up here, and a lot of pace in the race. So $34 definitely well the odds about it as well. Even fourth, number 5, Asian Ruku, was very impressive first up at Morpheville. Comes in this second up where it's much better than it is first up, and I think it could run well once again, especially if it finds itself on top of the ground. But look, I'm pretty keen to play number 14, Vacillator here. I think it's a real nice chance for it to return to the winner's stall, so I've got it on top. Ahead of number 1, Akanar Star for second. In for third, number 7, Plenciel, and in for fourth, number 5, Asian Rook. Moving on to the final race of the card, race number 9, and it is the Tab Trophy for the 1400 metres for the 3-year-olds. And one of my best bets of the program comes around in this race here. Looking at the speed map first, Rebel Racer eluding. Arenzio Defiant Dancer will be up towards the speed, which is interesting. Defiant Dancer, as I've seen, has been scratched from Moorfield to run in this race here. Final Man, very much informed horse, will be up towards the pace as well. Pillbox, regards me from barrier number 8, will be up there. So really to be a lot of pace in this race, and I think it'll set up nice for the back markers, and one of them is one of my best bets of the program, and it is Broadway and Fourth, who was a horse that I said to follow from a couple of weeks ago when it ran at Morphettville. Of course, that was in the Tabaclue Stakes behind Z Long, who goes around in, of course, the Goodwood as well. So Broadway and Fourth was terrific in that race there, really came home nicely, hit the line strongly. Only finished less than a length off Z Long. I think that's very good form to bring into a race like this. So as long as there's not too much rain about, this horse will run it. A very good race, $5.50 and $2.10 in the place is a real good price to me. So I'm going to have it on top. Head of number 3, B Hunter, who was absolutely flying through the ground last time. It had sensational closing sectionals, the best of the meeting by far. Over the last 200 metres, B Hunter was a good thing beaten last start behind Kuramaya. And like I said, I think that form race was going to stand up, and it has done so. There's been a couple of subsequent winners out of that race and good performances. So I think B Hunter can run well enough here again, especially with all this pace on the race. So I've got him for second. In for third, number 1, Final Man, who has been in great form. Has had 2 wins. It's had 3 wins in a row and hasn't missed a top 2 finish so far. It's prepped from 5 runs, so you could suggest that it will run well enough again. Has to carry the top weight, though. It has to give these Tom Stockdale's 2 kilo claim brings it down to 60, but that's just a little bit of a concern. Did win at 59 kilos last time out, which was good, and that's what you like to see. And Nick Harnett, hopefully the horse can run well enough here for him. And moving on to race in for fourth, number 14, Rebel Racer, who I think is well over the odds here. Finished third last time out at Sandown, heavy track behind Hidden Legend. I think that was a decent enough run. Was always going to be able to get it, wanting to get over further, and steps out the 1400 here. The extra 100 metres I think will suit nicely in it being second up. Other chances in the race, I think Talented's got a nice chance. Last start second behind Lunicorn. I think that's good enough form to bring a race. This Lunicorn did fail a couple of starts back at Sandown, but I'm willing to forgive that. Obviously, it was a long way back in the field, and they weren't able to make up much ground on the lakeside track that day, so I could forgive that. And number 6, Stand to Attention, was really flying through the line late at Warrnambool behind Stavic Quinn, so that was an impressive performance there, one to keep an eye out for. But I think Broadway and Fourth is one on top for me, ahead of number 3, B Hunter, and for second, and for third, number 1, Final Man, and in for fourth, number 14, Rebel Racer. So looking at my best bets of the program at Flemington tomorrow, I'm pretty keen on Broadway and Fourth in the final event. So race number 9, number 2, Broadway and Fourth, $5.50. So pretty nice price for a best bet, if you don't mind. Other best bets of the other best bet of the program for me at Flemington tomorrow. And my other best bet comes in race number 4, the Kennedy Mile, number 7, Duke of Plumpton. Very open race, but I think this horse can win that race. Best bets, race number 4, number 7, Duke of Plumpton, and race number 9, number 2, Broadway and Fourth. So you get some decent value for my 2 best bets of the program at Flemington. Moving into my best value bets of the program, I'm pretty keen on race number 5, the Furphy Dash, number 6, Wagner. It's a very open race, but I think $17 well over the odds about that horse. So race number 5, number 6, Wagner at $17 and $4.40 the place, one of my best value bets. And in race number 7, race number 8, race number 6. We got there eventually. The Andrew Ramsden is what I'm after. Number 12, Ocean X, thinks a very good each way price is $6. So I'm making that one of my other best value plays of the program. So thank you for tuning in and for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the video. Hopefully you can find plenty of winners tomorrow. If you haven't already done so, go check out my Goodwood preview and tips in the video prior to this one. And stay tuned for my Rose Hill, and I'm also going to be doing a preview of the Gold Coast. The main races there in that same video, so stay tuned for that. I'll be probably posting that later this afternoon, so just keep an eye out for that one. But so thank you for tuning in. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate all the support you guys are giving me over the last few weeks. I'm very much enjoying doing these previews and videos for you. As I said, it's not so much a case of I want you all to follow my on top selection. It's about me really breaking down the program for you and If there's horses that you like in each race, so I can, if I make a case for them, it can give you a bit more confidence with it. Obviously, I've got my on top selections, and my biggest suggestion would be to go with my best bets and best value plays would be the ones that I would be following the most in terms of if you're looking for a tip. But as for the other races, look, you can definitely follow me in. But if there's anything that you like in particular, and there's something that I give a chance for as well, it can give you that bit of confidence to back it. So that's the whole point of these videos. So hopefully you enjoyed it. You find plenty of winners tomorrow and enjoy the racing tomorrow on Andrew Ramsden Race Day.